Hey guys. Hey. Let me adjust a little bit. How's everybody doing? Listen, you know what I want you to do? I want you to hashtag live and tell me where you're watching from. I want you to share this on your Facebook page if you don't mind. Share it on your Facebook story, any groups that you're allowed to share it on. If you're a first timer, say what's up. Hey, everybody. Some of you I haven't seen in a while, but it's really good to see you here. And this is a pop up. And you may have noticed that the opening screen talked about kingdom strategies for wealth. But I'm not actually talking about money today directly. I am talking about wealth in terms of total life, abundance, health, prosperity, sound mind, all of that stuff. And, if you were with Strategies for Success on Monday, one of the things that I talk about is that one of my principles that I live by is to get up every day and make the world a better place. And so one of the things that I really try to work on is that when things are really crazy and negative in the world, is to add value in a way that helps people, that helps people think differently, that helps people shift, that helps people build a better life. And so today, I really just want to take some time to really give you an opportunity to get some tools to be really self-reflective. And I want you to stop and think about this. I want you to really make sure as we go through this brief training today that you only focus on yourself. Can you put that in the comments? Can you only focus on yourself? One of the things that I notice a lot in this work that I do, this work of soul shifting, which is based on Romans 12:2, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, is that many of us are very good at thinking about the thinking of other people, but our life can never be changed by thinking about other people. We need to focus on ourselves. And yes, there are moments when I hear something and I go, oh, this client could really use this, or oh, one of my kids, or oh, my husband, or oh, one of the partners of our ministry. But ultimately, my responsibility is always to do my own transformation work and to focus on myself. So I just want to know, I see about 30 of you guys on here, and I want to know if you'll make the commitment during this session to focus on yourself. That when you find yourself thinking about anybody other than yourself, that you're going to shift back and bring it to yourself. I'm going to focus on myself, and I'm going to use these tools. And so I'm going to ask you what I call crucial conversations, the kind of conversations that I ask my clients. The world right now seems really, really crazy. The world right now seems really, really crazy. We have a lot of things going on that we don't like. And, nobody likes mass shootings. Nobody likes racism. Nobody likes injustice of any kind, or at least no person who really knows who they are in Christ. And so I really want to talk about this idea of allowing information, this process of information to transformation, because a lot of us have a lot of information. We have a lot of information and we've heard things over and over again. Like, for example, Romans 12:2, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And many of us can quote that scripture. But my question to you is, do you know how to do that scripture? Do you know how to locate your thinking and then make the steps to change how you're thinking so that you can get a different outcome? So very specifically, I talked about today in the title, I talked about how basically you see what you're looking for. You see what you're looking for. And so I want you to put this in the comments, say, I always see what I'm looking for. I always see what I'm looking for. And I'm going to give you a very easy example that I've used many times before. And I've talked about how if you have ever gone to get a car and maybe you went to go get a Honda Accord and you thought that it was this blue color and you hadn't seen the blue color anywhere. And then you buy the car, and maybe even as you're buying the car, you go, oh, I haven't seen that color. You say to your husband, you say to your friend, you say to your kid, man, I haven't seen this color. And then when you put the car on the road, you see the color everywhere. And the reason you didn't see the color before is because you weren't looking for it. But the moment you become acquainted with that color, you see it everywhere. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Because I'm going to give you a second to catch up on that. Do you know what I'm talking about? That there's something that you think it's in scarcity. you think it's you think it's uncommon, and then you turn around and you see it everywhere. And it's because we always see what we're looking for. So I want to just say a couple things, and like, don't get offended. Just really think about what I'm saying. A lot of people are what we consider nice people, but nice doesn't mean positive. So there are a lot of us, we've been trained to be nice. And so because we practice being nice, we don't actually recognize how negative we are. And one of the ways you can tell whether you are one of those nice negative people is that, what do you notice first in spaces? You know, do you migrate towards the gossip, towards the negative story? When you walk in a room, do you notice what's wrong in the space? Are you the person that if 20 people tell you you look amazing and one person says they don't like your outfit, that's what you focus on? And unfortunately, we live in a world that's incredibly negative. Even if you think about our news cycles are designed to show us the most negative news. Now, hear me. I'm not saying we don't need to know. I'm asking us to consider how much negativity we consume and then give back into the world. Does that make sense? I'm asking us to consider how much negativity do I consume? What do I migrate to on TikTok? What do I migrate to on Instagram? What do I migrate to on Facebook? What do I migrate to in conversations with people, right? Because we live in a world that the energy of the world is pretty negative. It's what's wrong. It's what's not working. And the more we look at faults, the easier it is to see faults. So the more you meditate on what's wrong with your husband, the harder it is to see what's right with your husband. The more you meditate on what's wrong with your kids, the harder it is to see what's right with your kids. The more you meditate on what's wrong with your job, the harder it is to meditate on what's right with your job. And what happens a lot of times, if we're honest, is that you get into this negative cycle of meditating on what's wrong with the church, what's wrong with the world, what's wrong with your marriage, what's wrong with your kids, what's wrong with your job. And you don't actually do anything to change it. You just get into the cycle of complaining about it. And so then what we do is we gather the girlfriend who will get on the phone with us and let us rant about our husband, rant about our job, rant about the country, rant about the president. And we very rarely stop and say, yeah, but what are you going to do about it? Like, if you really don't like your job, I mean, you've been telling me for 2 years that you really don't like your job. So can we talk about why you're here? So I want to talk about one of my very favorite things to talk about that's not scripture. And it's the thinking, feeling cycle. Can you all put thinking, feeling cycle in the comments? It's the thinking, feeling cycle comment. And last night I made a post, and I don't know if you saw it, but it's the Institute of Stress in America, and I didn't say that name exactly right. It says that they estimated, they did a survey, they did research, and prior to the pandemic, that 75 to 90% of patients who went to see their primary physician went for stress-related issues. I listen, first of all, in my work, I know that people are under a lot of stress, but I was shocked by that. Is anybody else shocked by that? Man, you really should share this with people, because there are a lot of people right now who are really stressed, and a lot of people who are really frustrated, and a lot of people who are really aggravated. And you think that you are stressed and frustrated and aggravated because of what's happening outside of you. And in truth, you're stressed and frustrated and aggravated because of how you see what's happening outside of you. And I know that this makes you like, how can I be a positive person when all of this crazy is going around? And it just lets you know how much you focused on the crazy and not the good, because there is so much good happening. Put that in the comments. There is so much good happening. Yes, there are terrible things happening in the world, but there is so much good happening. Are you looking for the good? Are you looking for the good? Or are you just a nice negative Nancy, a nice negative person? Do we know that we can call you and you will so easily get into a conversation about what's wrong with everything? So I want to talk about the think and feeling cycle, and I'm going to do this in 30 minutes. So let's do it and let's get out of here. Okay, so here we go. So when you think a thought, me, all of us, every time we think a thought, that thought triggers a chemical. So we, human beings, we are the biggest drug makers that exist. We all have our own pharmacy inside of us. We all create our own drugs. When I think a thought, that triggers a chemical, and that chemical triggers a feeling. That feeling then triggers a thought that aligns with the first thought, right? So if I get up and I go, today is an amazing day, and I think that thought, I'm going to trigger dopamine. I'm going to trigger what I call the happy drugs. The happy drugs, I'm going to start feeling like it's a good day. Even if I get up and it's raining and I'm like, no, but it's a good day. You see what happened? I'm creating my own chemicals. And many of you think that you are so miserable because of what's external, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to consider that based on how your body is wired, that you are actually miserable because you focus on the negative, because your body is now addicted to the negative drugs. Selah. So we think a thought. When we think a thought, we release a chemical. When we release a chemical, that chemical triggers a feeling, and it becomes a loop. It becomes a circle. I think this thought, if I think a happy thought, it triggers happy drugs. I get happy feelings. I think other happy thoughts. When I start out in that state of being, right? When I start out in that state of being, then even when things may be crazy around me, I've still chosen I'm going to be happy. I've still chosen I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to find the good in every day. Let me ask you guys a question. How many of you believe that your thinking impacts the quality of your life? Raise your hand, hearts, love, whatever. You can say, I do in the comments. How many of you believe? You believe the scripture says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. You really do believe that your thinking dictates the quality of your life. How many of you believe that? I love that, right? How many of you refuse to get out of bed in the morning until you have decided to have a good day? How many of you, because if I believe that my thoughts play the biggest impact in my life, then wouldn't I see it as incredibly important that I refuse to get out of bed until I have decided to have a good day? Many of you don't decide to have a good day. That's why you have the kind of day that you have. That's why you have the kind of day, whatever life throws at you. You have the kind of day, whatever kind of day life throws at you, that's the day that you have. Because on one hand, you say that you believe your thinking is important, but it doesn't correlate to an action that says, because I believe it, I cannot afford to start my day without determining that I am going to have a good day today. See, because if I determine I'm going to have a good day today, then now what happens is I get up and it's raining, or it's cold, or my kids are running late, or my boss put an extra meeting on there, and I don't let that overtake me. Why? Because I already decided I'm going to have a good day. So now I begin to look at how I make that adjustment. How do I adjust to the unexpected when I've already decided to have a good day? So the first instruction that I want to give you, the first thing that will help you change your life. Hold on just a second. is that moving forward from this point, you do not put your feet on the floor until you have taken at least 2 minutes to decide you are going to have a good day. And you set your intention and you say, I don't care what my boss does today. I don't care what happens in the news today. I don't care how crazy one of my kids acts. I don't care what traffic looks like. I will have a good day. Let me give you this example. Years ago, Edwin and I made a decision. We used to travel a lot for ministry. For 6 or 7 years, we drove 2.5 hours one way to church, to a church that we pastored. And we made a decision that early on, that anytime we had a delay in traffic, that we would choose to believe that that delay was designed to protect us from something we did not know about. So we just practiced that for years. And so as a result, when I am delayed in traffic, even locally, I don't get frustrated about being delayed in traffic because I have a fundamental belief that delays are working for my good. So the other day I'm riding with one of my daughters who's driving, and she is like, oh my God, people are driving so slow. And I said, but what if their slowness is designed to protect you? So literally, we're both in the car. We both have to get to the same place. She's antsy. She's frustrated. She's aggravated. She's yelling at drivers. And I'm like, girl, chill. This delay is working for our good. We're having the same external experience. So it's not the external experience that is shaping our mood. It is our internal thinking about the external experience. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you? And so what happens is, and the truth of it is that if we're all honest, we probably have some areas where we have mastery over this and some areas of this where we need to grow up. You know, we have some areas where we've got great mastery and we can hit the pause button here and we can find the good here. And then we have these areas where we don't have good mastery. These areas where we get addicted to these negative drugs and our body begins to crave. And this is one of the hardest things about changing, okay? So when you think these thoughts, you're releasing these chemicals and your body is getting addicted to these chemicals. Your body's getting addicted to these chemicals in the same way that if you've got to have coffee in the morning. Why do you have to have coffee in the morning? Because your body is addicted to the caffeine, or you've got to have your Dr. Pepper, or you've got to have your dessert. Why? Your body is addicted to those chemicals. And we talk a lot in this country about the external chemicals that our body is addicted to. But what about what the internal chemicals? And I love what Katina said. She said, I used to prefer to be in a bad mood. And you're going right into what I'm talking about. The reason she preferred to be in a bad mood is that because her body craved the chemicals that she received from being in a bad mood. Now, here's the thing. She may not have intellectually wanted to be in a bad mood. She may have intellectually known that it didn't make sense for her to be in a bad mood, but her body literally craved the negativity. I'm going to give y'all an example that probably every woman here can relate, because even if you haven't done it directly, at least one of your girlfriends have done it. I'm going to say at least 3 of your girlfriends have done it if it's not you. Okay. So if you have ever been in a relationship or had a friend that was in a relationship that was a lot of drama, he be cheating, you got to look for him, you got some girl calling you, and probably if you were in college, you probably got a lot of experience with this. It's always some kind of drama. You go to the party, it's going to be some mess, right? And listen, you will be like, oh my God, I'm so tired of this. I don't want to do this with him anymore. And then you'll do it again, and then you'll do it again, and then you'll do it. And then finally, for some reason, you've had enough. And you finally go, that's enough. I'm not dating Jim anymore, blah, blah, blah. And then you go and you find you a nice boyfriend. Let's call him Tom for the sake of this. You find you a nice boyfriend, Tom, and Tom is respectful, and Tom is kind, and Tom is considerate, and Tom checks on you. And on Friday nights, all Tom wants to do is to take you to dinner and watch a movie sitting on the couch. And there is a part of you that really wants that. But there is a part of you that is still addicted to the adrenaline rush of what it was like to date Jim the Nut. So there's a part of you that's like, oh my goodness, I really like Tom. And then, but see, the conversations are different with your girlfriend. So now you like, well, Jasmine, he nice, but he kind of boring. Meaning being with him does not trigger the chemicals in me that allow me to get the same kind of adrenaline rush, because it's not the same kind of adrenaline rush. Because I'm gonna act like Jasmine is my friend from college for today. See, I don't get when I'm over here dating Tom, all I got to say to Jasmine is he's so nice, he's so sweet. He brought me flowers. We don't get to have no conversation about how we're going to roll up on him and how we need to bust Sarah in the face. And so you don't realize that every time you're having those conversations, guys, every time you're having those conversations, you're releasing adrenaline, you're releasing chemicals, you're releasing stress factors, and your body is really getting addicted to that. So now you sitting over there with Tom. And Tom has taken you to the movies, and Tom got you your favorite meal because he heard you say how much you love bonefish, and he took you to bonefish, and he brought you dessert, and he stopped you by Starbucks, and he got you a frappalaka macchiato, like whatever you wanted with 2 pumps or whatever, and you came home and y'all are sitting on the couch, and he is eating some chips, and you look over there and you go, ooh, I can't stand the way he chew. Ooh, I hate them shoes he has on. That's not the real you. That's the part of your body that is craving. It is craving the adrenaline. It is craving the fight, because even though you emotionally may not like the fight, your body is addicted to it. So Tom is like, girl, what is wrong with you? And then if you've ever been in that situation, you hear things like, you can't never be happy. And then you get offended because no, you want to be happy, except you are addicted to negativity. Now, I wonder if somebody could take some time right now and be reflective and go, I have definitely been crazy like that. If I'm honest, if things are too calm, if things are too peaceful, I find myself creating drama, looking for drama, and I've wondered why I do that. No, Kim said one time, she actually said, why he give me flowers? Now, why he give me these flowers? Why? Because the moment I begin to be able to study my behavior, I have the ability to step out of that and say to myself, now, Sean, you know you was acting crazy. Now, Sean, calm down. Sean, it's safe for you to be loved well. Sean, you don't have to get into an argument all the time. And so I am really trying to get us to understand that when we have a big crisis, like what happened the other day in Texas, the part of our bodies that crave negativity, that crave those drugs, because maybe you've been doing a good job of managing your mind, you're not dating anybody right now, so you don't have any of that drama, your work is going good, whatever. It's not just that we had a crisis, it's that your body goes, ooh, that is an opportunity. So what we end up doing is we begin to attach ourselves and attract the most negative information. So let me give you an example, because for example, if you think about this, every time we have in this nation, we have some type of mass tragedy, we can always count on the same type of comments, okay? But the same type of comments. I'm not trying to be offensive, right? But just hear me out. So we're going to talk about how we need gun control. We're going to talk about how it's a mental health issue. We're going to talk about all of these different things, and we're going to get in the cycle of ranting. And even if we aren't directly ranting, we're going to start watching the news that helps us rant. We're going to start watching the TikToks that help us rant, the IG posts that help us rant, the Facebook posts that help us rant. And we're going to get into this cycle of ranting. And our body's going to begin to make a demand for those drugs, right? But here's the question we should ask ourselves, because this is really what I tried to do in the last tragedy. Number one, I went back, pulled up my memories to say, what have I said in the past when something like this happened? What have I said in the past when something like this happened? Okay. I've walked through this same thing. I walked through the anger. I walked through the frustration. I walked through all of this different stuff. What could I do differently? Right? What could I do differently? And I said, okay, here is what I could do differently. Okay. I could do two things differently. And I made a choice to do two very specific things. One, because I believe gun reform is important, I made it a point to research organizations that were working on gun reform and to become a member and to support them, because that is something I can do. I made it a second point. So I did three things. I made it a second point that I would not get into these arguments, debates, and this thing of being morally superior to people who have different beliefs than me. That I would take all of my energy, all of my sadness, all of my frustration, and try to do something productive. The other thing that I did was I asked God to show me, because they're going to post the parents, they're going to post the kids. I asked God to give me a family to pray for well after this is over. And I think I said it to Kimberly Dennis yesterday. I said, here's the reality. We can't do anything for the lives that were taken. That's over and done with. But the people who experience that, they're going to feel pain for a long time. What do we know? We know that after incidents like that suicide increases. We know that after incidents like that, there's survivor's remorse. There's guilt for making it. There's shame for making it. We know that many couples get divorced after incidents like that. So there was, as I was limiting my interaction with the news, I saw one mother, and in her comment, she said, I don't think I can live without my daughter. So I have personally adopted her to cover her in prayer. And I have made a note. So it's not just I'm covering her in prayer this week. I made a note in my journal, a note on my phone. Once a week, I need to cover this woman until the Holy Spirit releases me from covering her. Why? Because the pain she's in right now, the enemy will use that pain to torment her for many years. So what she needs, she doesn't need me ranting. She doesn't need me getting into an argument with Carolyn because we see gun rights the same way. She needs me to say, I'm going to become an intercessor for her, because probably her and everybody who loves her is in so much pain right now that they may not be thinking clearly to pray clearly. They may not even know how to pray. So what if I gave my attention to that as opposed to letting myself get high off of the negative events? Does that make sense to you guys? Any questions? I want to give you one more thing and we're going to go, because I want you to remember this. I want you to think about this. Your mind does not know the difference between what's real and live and what's a memory. And so how we are different than animals is that if a lion starts to chase an antelope is going to kick into flight mode, increase adrenaline, and understand when we get under stress, we need to understand some things that happen. When we get under stress, our body stops functioning normally. And our body literally takes all of its reserve to help us either fight or to get away. Now, that's a really good thing if you're an antelope. And that's a really good thing if you're living in caveman days, right? That, hey, you got a dinosaur coming towards you, kids, you better be able to move. You better be able to shake and bounce and all of that stuff. Now, here's the thing. The challenge is that for an antelope, as soon as he gets away from the lion, guys, his body's going to regulate and he's going to go back to his normal functions. But because we have something that no other animal has, which is the ability to think, we can keep thinking our way into a state of stress. So literally, the stress we release when we don't like our mother-in-law, when we don't like our boss, when someone gets on our nerves, it is the same stress we would release if we were being chased by a lion. Do you understand that? And not only that, so if I got this, and I can use my mother-in-law because we have a great relationship, I love her so much, but if I've got this thing with my mother-in-law and I get triggered into stress mode every time her name is mentioned, every time she's coming to my house, every time my husband is talking to her, right? I am literally going into fight and flight, primitive stage, and my body is taking away from things like digestion. It is taking away from things like immunity, preservation, and all of these different things. And it is just trying to help me survive. And I need everybody to put this in the comments. I can never thrive in the state of surviving. I can never thrive in the state of surviving. So if you go back to what I told you in the beginning about 75 to 90% of the reasons that people go to their doctor is because of stress-related issues, think about it. So if I'm treating an encounter with my mother-in-law like being chased by a lion or having to fight a lion, and then I can keep it triggered by calling LaTanya and re-talking about it with her. And I can trigger it even further by calling Mia and calling Sonia and calling Carolyn and making a passive aggressive post about it and then talking about it with Courtney, right? Do you understand that I never did what the antelope did, which is when the lion was gone, went back to my normal focus? So understand this level of stress, this level of negativity that we have created as our normal. It is impacting our immunity. It is increasing allergies. It is increasing headaches. It is increasing blood pressure issues. It is increasing stomach issues. It is the reason that people have boils. So many diseases, so many chronic illnesses can be traced to what is happening in our mind and the chemicals. And we need to understand this. When we make a practice of releasing these chemicals, hear what I'm about to say, we open our body to disease. So while I may think it's helping me to tell that story 20 times about my coworker, to tell that story 37 times about what my husband did 5 years ago, every time I do it, I am creating a weakened immunity that makes me susceptible to disease. And so I'm saying that the reason that I'm asking you to consider whether you're a negative person is that I'm asking you to say, do my thoughts make me sick? Have you ever thought your way into a headache? Have you ever thought your way into insomnia? Have you ever thought your way into a stomach ache? Have you ever thought your way into this place of distress? Are your thoughts making you sick? Are your thoughts the real reason that you have high blood pressure? Are your thoughts the reason that you have these allergies that break out, these hives? Are your thoughts the reason that you have these headaches, or the reason that you can't get out of bed every day, or the reason you're so irritable, or the reason that you're so aggravated? Guys, you have to become very intentional about minding your mind. So I want to invite you on a challenge. Who's in for a challenge? And I'm going to do a live tomorrow night at 7 o'clock because I want to talk about this more. I want us to really understand what we're doing to our bodies and how we can use one form of thoughts to destroy our body, but we can use another form of thoughts to heal our body. So if I can think my body into stress, I can think my body into peace. If I can think my body into disease, I can think my body into healing, right? That's right, Shanae. I need to mind my mind. And I can tell you this, that when your biggest job begins to be minding your mind, you don't have near as much attention to give other people. You got to ask yourself, what is reading this post going to do for me? What is this movie going to do for me? What is having this conversation with you going to do? What is telling this story going to do? What am I going to do? So I want you to do this challenge. I want you to do two things. I want you to become very intentional about thinking about your thinking. And I want to give you this tip. I want you to understand this. If you have not been good at thinking about your thinking, your body's going to tell you what you're thinking. So you need to do these check-ins. What check-ins am I talking about? You need to do these check-ins several times a day where you check and see if your jaw is clenched, where you check and see if your shoulders are tight, where you check and see the posture that you're sitting in. Because if you haven't been proficient at thinking about your thinking, your body's going to tell you first. Your body's going to say to you, the stomach ache, the craving for sugar, the craving for caffeine, it's going to say. And what I want you to do is to start tracking. Okay, I want you to start tracking. When do I crave sugar the most? When do I crave drama the most? I want you to start tracking it. And then I just want you to work at intentionally shifting out, right? If you're like, say, for example, if every day at 2:00, you have to have something sweet. What happens before 2:00 that makes you need something sweet? Could you say, okay, I love M&Ms. I'm going to give myself 10 M&Ms as opposed to the whole bag. And then I'm going to wash those 10 M&Ms down with a big bottle of water, right? Pay attention to the conversation. And hear me, guys. Don't go out and be like, Yolanda, I can't talk to you because you negative. That's not the work we're doing. This work is not about putting other people down. It's not about finding flaws with other people. Now, I will say this, that as you practice this, you are going to begin to notice that other people are negative. But you got to be gentle because you just coming out this thing. You just coming out this thing. So now you ain't got to be like, oh my God, ooh, Yolanda, ooh, Kimberly. No, just manage yourself. Okay. So that's the first thing I want you to do. I want you to get really conscious, paying attention to your cycles and how you can interrupt it. The other thing that I want you to do, right? The other thing that I want you to do is I want you to be intentional every day, at least 3 times a day, about putting good into the world. Share a puppy video. Pretty much everybody like puppies, even if they don't want one. Okay? Tell your kids I love them without telling them anything that they need to do better. Right? I want you to say, if this world is negative and it doesn't have enough goodness, I intentionally become a person who takes that goodness for myself first. Because I'm not going to be out here trying to give y'all goodness while I'm at home cussing out my kids. That ain't it. I'm going to take it for myself first. And then I'm going to put good out into the world. Maybe every day I get up and ask the Holy Spirit, who are 3 people I can give an encouraging word? Maybe once a week I'm going to say at Starbucks or Chick-fil-A, I'm going to pay for somebody else's food. But I'm going to intentionally become light and a source of good. It's going to help my body. It's going to help my mind. And it's going to help somebody else. So can y'all do that for me? Who's all in to do those things? So I'm going to train my mind. And this is really interesting because a lot of you consider yourself to be faith people, but you actually aren't positive people. You focus on what's wrong. Like just something as simple as this. Is it frustrating that gas prices are up? Yes. But aren't you blessed to be able to pay for gas? And that's what I mean when I say we're bent for the normal, for the negative. you will literally have the money to pay for gas. When 5 years ago you wouldn't have had the money to pay for gas, and you will still fuss about the gas instead of saying, God, I'm so thankful. And if I'm really concerned, then who could I pay? Is there a single mother I could give a gas card to? Like, there are all these things, like, and this is how we're going to end today. I literally want you just in the comments to list things you are thankful for. And I was thinking about this. Somebody asked me, before I lost weight, not that I don't need to lose more weight, so I don't need your commentary, but before I lost weight, somebody asked me, did I talk bad to myself about being overweight? I never talked bad to myself about being overweight. And I'm going to tell you why I never talked bad to myself about being overweight. This is what I would say to my body. I would say, instead of being like, oh my God, I don't like my stomach, child, I would say this: knees, I want to thank you for holding me up, because I know that I am pushing you beyond your limits. Knees, I sure do appreciate you, because you is rocking with your girl. Like, I was talking to one of my clients yesterday, and I know that a lot of people have gained weight during the pandemic, and you're beating yourself up. And you can't lose weight beating yourself up. What if you begin to get in the mirror and you begin to say, body, I want to thank you for taking me through COVID. Some of you actually had COVID and you made it, and you spend your time beating yourself up because you up 2 sizes. How about, body, I want to listen, we ate a lot of cookies. It's true. We ate some pizza. It's true. But body, I want to thank you that you got me through COVID. I want to thank you that I never had it. I want to thank you that I'm recovering. Knees, I want to listen, knees, I done a whole lot of stuff to you. First of all, I was backing that thing up years ago, and now I done put this weight on you, and I thank you for that. I want to thank you for that. Like, I'm thankful for that. No, Kendra said my COVID meals were lavish. No, I'm thankful that some of you are beating yourselves up for where you are, instead of just saying, self, I'm glad you made it through a pandemic. Listen, understand this. If your body quits on you, you have to leave the earth. If your body quits on you, you have to leave the earth. Your body, man, listen, I'm so but what if you said to your body, man, I'm sorry for the way I've treated you, and I'm going to work to treat you better because you've been really good to me. I guarantee you, if you talk to your body like that, your body would work better for you. I guarantee you it would be easier for you to lose weight. That's just the stuff I'm asking you to think about. I'm asking you to think about, listen, who done said they can still drop it? This girl said, it say Facebook user, so I don't know who it is. Somebody said, I think you back and I can still drop it. I'm not finna be out here dropping it because y'all not finna have no meme, because y'all will meme anybody, right? And then sometimes you just look at your body and say, I thank you that we had enough food. Clearly I can tell we had enough food. So we're gonna end with you saying, all right, let's go. What are things you love about yourself? No flaws allowed. You don't have to be perfect to be amazing. What are some things you love about yourself? And I challenge you to get on Facebook and ask people, like, put one thing in the comments you like about yourself. What are some things you love about? I want us to break up with this negativity. I want us to be, I don't want believers to be known that we holy and rude and holy and critical. Man, I want us to be, Leslie says, I love my gift of kindness. Courtney said, I love this body. Kimberly said, I love my smile. I love my eyes. I love my sense of humor. Listen, I want you to see what that does for your body for your soul. When you treat yourself that way. I want you to challenge yourself. When you're talking to your kids, when you're talking to your husband, are you telling them what's wrong with them? Are you telling them what's right with them? I love my creativity. I love my, hold on, I had a thing come up. I can't see. I love my legs. I love my dry sense of humor. Y'all, I love my shoulders. Listen, one time I was go get this tattoo on my shoulder, like a sleeve. And I was like, ooh, girl, you got some pretty shoulders. You can't be tatting that shoulder up, right? I love that. I love to learn. And I love that in addition to loving to learn, I got a wicked sense of humor. I don't always get to show it all right. No, I love that I'm curious. Now I love what Tiandra just said. I love all of me. Can I get you to I love all of me. I love all of me. You may be thinking I don't love my stomach, but baby, let me tell you something. That stomach either looks like that because you birthed some babies, or that stomach looks like that because you had you some good cookies and cake. Either way is a win. Etoya, the reason it's hard is because most of us have spent so much time being critical. Some of you, your kids are getting ready to bring their grades home, and they're going to have 4 A's and a B. Don't even mention the B. Hype up the A's. Sharisa, and my little droopy tummy. I love all of me. No, either way, it's a win. I love my new outlook. God was really showing out when he gave me my creativity. I love all of me. Shannon says, I love all of me and I'm just discovering her. Guys, let me ask you something. Who can acknowledge that you feel, even if you felt good when you started this live, that you feel better now? Because what you focus on gets magnified. Who came in here and maybe you was a little droopy, you was a little dreary, but you like, man, let's take the day. I love all of me, even the extra. This is how we shift. Somebody feels lighter. Now, you don't have to be perfect to be amazing. But I want you to be intentional about it. Casey said, I was feeling down. Casey, you are so dope. I want to say this. Casey, I love the way you serve our community. I love the way you care about people. I love the way that you get involved and you're always looking to make the world a better place. I love that about you. And I hope you love that about you. Carolyn said, I love that I'm loving me all over again. Shamika said, I came late and I still feel better. Yolanda said, I'm smiling with myself. 3 kids, 4 belly cuts. I love my stature. I love my smile. I love my feet. Tiandra said, I got happy tears. What if you did this every day, multiple times a day? What if you made an intention to just stop? I literally, my kids sometimes, I just walk past them and I just go, I love you. I think you're amazing. I love you. I think you're amazing. What if you start walking past the mirror and say, girl, I love you. I think you amazing. Girl, you all right with me? And then when that self-doubting voice says you need to lose some weight, girl, but you still all right with me? Because knees, you've been kneeing. All right. I love y'all. I hope this blessed you. I hope you will share this with somebody. I hope that you'll make these posts that I'm talking about. Man, no, Casey, really, you are an amazing. If anybody knows, here's the thing. We're going to pour our love on Casey as we get ready to go. Okay? We go pour our love on Casey. Listen, you may not know Casey, but let me tell you something. Casey is an AKA. She works at Walmart. She's a community supporter. She's always going out of her way for other people. She shows up, she serves, she does all of that stuff. I need everybody to show Casey some love right now. Just right now. You don't even have to know it. Just take my word that she dope. Man, listen. Yes. Come on, listen. Receive that love. Just receive it. Let me see what y'all saying to her. And girl, you rock. We love and appreciate you. You're the best. You're fierce. You're dope. You're amazing. You handle your business. You're amazing. You're beautiful. You're dope. And I'll be honest, I guarantee you, if most of you are paying attention, not only do you feel good telling her that, you feel better because you're saying it. Now I want you to challenge yourself through the rest of this day that you're looking to say what's good, what's true, what's beautiful. You're not out here keeping it real, spreading poison, saying ugly stuff. That you go when you go to the store today, you make a point to look at the cashier and say, "You have a good day." You make a point that you make a point to just be liked. Can y'all do that for me? All right. If y'all make some posts where you're telling people to be amazing, be sure to tag me in it because I want to be a part of it. Listen, Casey, the community is better because of you. We are better because you do what you do. Let's do this. Let's make the world better. Let's rewire our own body chemistry. Let's make the world better. And I will be back here tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Time because I want to do some deep dive work. Like it'll be the second part of Mind Your Mind. So invite somebody, come get you some popcorn, some M&Ms, and a notebook, and let's do a little work because we're going to change the world. Like yesterday, everyone was like, "What are you working on?" I was like, "I'm working on changing the world. I'm going to change the whole world." Like that's my goal. I'm going to change the whole world. And I thank you guys for helping me be world changers. Thank you, Courtney. I received that. I love y'all. I'm about to go. Y'all have a great day.